biggest financial mistake most people make isn't spending too much money. It's spending money on things that make them look wealthy. Because in today's world, looking rich has become surprisingly affordable. Almost anyone can finance a luxury car. Almost anyone can lease a designer lifestyle. Almost anyone can create the appearance of success. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. For the first time in history, it's possible to look rich while becoming poorer every month. Think about that. A person can drive a $70,000 car, wear expensive brands, post luxury vacations online, and still have almost no wealth at all. Meanwhile, someone else can look completely ordinary, drive an older car, live in a modest home, and quietly be worth millions. The problem is that most people can't tell the difference because we've been trained to confuse spending with wealth, visibility with success, consumption with financial progress. And nowhere is this confusion more obvious than in modern culture. A culture where appearances are rewarded, attention is currency, and looking successful often matters more than actually becoming successful. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Looking rich and being rich require completely different behaviors. In many cases, they require opposite behaviors. And understanding that difference might change the way you think about money forever. Because somewhere along the way, we stopped measuring wealth by what people own and started measuring it by what people display. And those two things are not the same. In fact, they're often complete opposites. Think about social media for a moment. Every day, millions of people open their phones and scroll through carefully edited highlights of other people's lives. Luxury vacations, designer clothing, expensive restaurants, new cars, beautiful homes, perfect mornings, perfect success. What we rarely see are the credit card bills, the car payments, the financial stress, the anxiety, the sacrifices happening behind the scenes. Social media has created something that never existed before. A world where appearances can be manufactured. A world where looking wealthy is often easier than becoming wealthy. And that's had a profound effect on how people think about money. Because humans are social creatures. We compare, we observe, we imitate. For thousands of years, our survival depended on fitting into a group. Being accepted mattered. Status mattered. It still does. The only difference is that today's comparison group isn't 20 people in your village. It's millions of people online. Every time you open an app, you're exposed to lifestyles that appear bigger, better, and more successful than your own. And whether we realize it or not, that changes our behavior. Suddenly, the car you were happy with doesn't seem good enough. The apartment that felt perfectly fine starts feeling small. The vacation you enjoyed now looks boring compared to someone else's. This is known as status anxiety, the uncomfortable feeling that you're falling behind, that everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still. And status anxiety is one of the most powerful spending triggers in the world. Because when people feel behind, they often don't invest more. They spend more, not because they need those things, because they want the feeling those things promise, the feeling of catching up, the feeling of belonging, the feeling of success. The problem is that many purchases only provide that feeling temporarily. The excitement fades, the novelty disappears, and before long, something else grabs our attention. A newer car, a better phone, a bigger house, a more luxurious lifestyle. Consumer culture depends on this cycle. It constantly tells us that happiness is one purchase away, that success can be bought, that confidence can be purchased, that identity can be upgraded. But there's a problem. The people who become wealthy eventually stop buying into that story because they realize something uncomfortable. Looking rich and being rich require opposite behaviors. Looking rich usually involves spending money. Being rich usually involves keeping money. Looking rich focuses on visible assets. Being rich focuses on invisible assets. Looking rich seeks attention. Being rich creates freedom. And freedom is much harder to photograph. Nobody posts a picture of their emergency fund. Nobody uploads a video of their retirement account. Nobody gets thousands of likes for consistently investing every month for 10 years. But those are the things that build wealth. The irony is that genuine wealth is often invisible. You can't always see it. You can't always recognize it. A person with a luxury watch might be heavily in debt. A person wearing a plain t-shirt might have complete financial independence. Our brains struggle with this because we've been trained to associate spending with success. But spending and wealth are not the same thing. In many cases, they're moving in opposite directions. Every dollar spent on maintaining an image is a dollar that can't be invested, a dollar that can't compound, a dollar that can't create future freedom. And that's where middle-class psychology becomes so important. The middle class faces a unique challenge. They're often successful enough to afford nicer things, but not wealthy enough for those purchases to be financially insignificant. This creates enormous pressure. You get promoted. Now you should drive a better car. You move into a nicer neighborhood. Now your furniture needs upgrading. Your friends start taking luxury vacations. Now you feel pressure to do the same. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons high earners fail to build wealth. Because every increase in income gets matched by an increase in spending. The result? Someone earning $70,000 feels broke. Someone earning $120,000 feels broke. Someone earning $250,000 feels broke. The number changes. The feeling stays the same. Why, Brishwal? Because they're chasing an image rather than building a foundation. And images are incredibly expensive to maintain. Wealthy people often understand something different. They understand that money is not primarily a tool for consumption. It's a tool for creating options. Every investment creates future choices. Every asset creates future flexibility. Every dollar saved creates future freedom. The goal isn't to impress strangers. The goal is to gain control over your life. That's a completely different way of thinking. Imagine two people receive the exact same raise. The first person upgrades their car, wardrobe, vacations, and lifestyle. The second person keeps their expenses relatively stable and invests the difference. For a few years, the first person appears more successful. People notice. People compliment them. People assume they're doing well. Meanwhile, the second person's progress is invisible. Nothing looks different. Nothing appears impressive. But 10 years later, the situation often changes dramatically because wealth compounds quietly. It doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, then suddenly. This is why so many genuinely wealthy people appear surprisingly ordinary. Not because they lack money, because they understand what money can become. They've learned to delay visible rewards in exchange for invisible growth. And over time, those invisible decisions create visible results. A paid-off home, financial independence, freedom from debt, freedom from financial stress, freedom to choose how they spend their time. And perhaps that's the biggest difference between looking rich and being rich. Looking rich is about convincing other people. Being rich is about not needing to. Looking rich depends on external validation. Being rich creates internal security. Looking rich says, look at what I have. Being rich says, I no longer need to prove anything. And that's a powerful shift, because once you stop viewing money as a tool for impressing others, you start using it differently. You become more intentional, more patient, more focused on long-term outcomes. You stop asking, what will people think? And start asking, what will this mean for my future? That question changes everything, because at the end of the day, wealth is not the car parked in your driveway. It's not the logo on your shirt. It's not the vacation photos on your profile. It's not the image you project to the world. Real wealth is the ability to make choices without constantly worrying about money. It's having options. It's having security. It's having freedom. And in a culture obsessed with appearances, that can be easy to forget. But the people who build lasting wealth rarely do, because they understand a simple truth. Looking rich gets attention. Being rich gets freedom. And if you have to choose between the two, freedom is worth far more.